So, story time. Back when I lived in Los Angeles, I got on this crazy macaron kick and just decided that I wanted to, kind of like I did my crazy thing with build a better bath bomb wall, build a better macaron. And so I spent like 6 months just making macarons every day and all the different fillings and all of the different things that go into, the perfect macaron and the little feet and the texture. And yeah, I was completely obsessed with the macaron process. And, eventually I stopped making them because I got burned out on the making, but I still love eating them. And I'm telling you that story today because it actually does have something to do with this really, really cool bar. And I'm going to tell you more about this really, really cool bar in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for day 37 of 365 days of soap. And we are continuing on with the Magician's line today. And we are making Josh. Now, Josh is kind of a secondary character in a lot of ways. And the thing is with the Magicians, though, they could all be technically labeled secondary characters. And there are so many to choose from. And I had a really difficult time really narrowing down the characters that I wanted to do. I'm doing Josh because he is the big baker guy in the series. He likes to cook, he likes to bake, and he does world famous macarons. So of course I love him. He's also really great comedic relief. He is a wonderful character and he really does bring the entire cast together. So I wanted to definitely include him in the line. Now, because he was big into the baking and all of the things, I decided to make his bar look like, a baked good of some kind. And I also decided to play around with my macaron molds that I have for my bathrooms, right? I decided to see what would happen if I poured soap into those and put the cookie into an actual log mold, right? And then so you have a row of cookies in the log mold, and then when you cut them, is it still gonna look like there's an obvious macaron in the middle of each bar? So I'm definitely playing around with that. And I also love the little top that I'm putting on this too. It all fits, it's all cool. The scent that we are working with is from Cierra Candles, and it is a fig and rosemary jam scent, and it is delightful and it's foodie. And so it definitely works for Josh. So let's go to pour. We'll talk more about Josh as a character and this bar and the whole thought process behind creating it, there.
Okay, so first things up, we are doing Cierra Candles Fig and Rosemary Jam. Now, we already know what this does because the Soapprentice actually used this in one of her Labyrinth soaps. We both wanted this one. I think she used it for Hoggle, I'm pretty sure. And it performed beautifully. No discoloration, very strong scent retention, and just the idea of fig and rosemary jam sounds so delightful and like brunches that I don't get to have anymore because I'm a mom and we don't brunch, but it made me miss the days of when I could brunch. So went with that. It is a really, really good scent. There's definitely some sweetness to it, but also you have that biting note of the rosemary. It's great for sure. Now, Josh Hoberman of the Magicians. A magician. But by all accounts, I'm not 100% sure how or why he was admitted into break bills in the first place, because he's not a particularly talented magician. But also, you know, when you start looking at everything in big picture and all the things, maybe he was admitted because he had to serve a critical role for, as being, you know, the backup cast for the main characters, however you might define them, within the magician's world. Anyway, Josh, big party guy. He likes to hang out and have a good time, for sure, but not in some kind of like you're a wastoid kind of way. Just in a he's here for the party, and when the party doesn't exist, that's fine too. He cooks. He will cook an awesome meal. He will bake some ridiculous things, and he is known for his world famous macarons. And so with this, I wanted to sort of lend to all of that, to his baking side, really. And so the body of the bar will be two different colors of like the yellow, like the gold and the yellow and the white. In the pot, I think it might be in the mold swirl. No, it's not. I do something cool with this for sure, because I want to get like laminated layers in this to sort of mimic like a really cool pastry, right? And then like halfway up the bar, I'm going to be putting in macarons. Now, these macarons have been poured ahead of time into my macaron molds, and that little white Pyrex there, I'm going to use for the filling of the macarons. So they stand up on their own and they have an amazing filling. So I'm going to take my stick blender to it just a bit while I set it aside, just to get it to a thicker trace. And then I'm going to set it aside while I do everything with the rest of the batter. Now, because I knew that this batter was going to perform beautifully and not get thick, because, you know, the hoggle pour was, pretty sure it was hoggle, right? It was totally hoggle. That batter was fluid and beautiful the whole way through. And so that is the reason why I took a stick blender to the little Pyrex up there to really thicken up that batter, because I knew if I left it to its own devices, it was not going to thicken up the way that I wanted. Now, for the pour, I am putting an empty Pyrex back onto the scale, because I do want the macarons actually in the middle of the bar, right? And so I am going to do this pour thing and layer everything in, the faux funnel pour, layer everything into the Pyrex until half the batter has been used. How do I know that half the batter has been used? Well, it's still a sort of estimate, but it's a pretty dead nuts estimate, because I know that this particular batch of soap is between 54 and 56 ounces. So and I know how much I took out of that other one for the Pyrex, the little Pyrex with the white in there. So I'm going to continue layering until I have like 22-ish ounces in this. And then I'm going to pour it in. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the top. Except I'm going to do it all in the same time, I think. Yep, gonna do it all at once. Cool. Now, the character of Josh, in addition to, you know, here for a good time and likes the parties and all the things, and likes the baking, he also serves multiple roles for multiple people within the magician's line. And one of the coolest things that he does is, you know, he's great for comedic relief, for sure, but he is very important to Margot's storyline. And I love Margot. She's probably my favorite character out of all of them. And so his storyline wrapped up in hers is very cool and very important. And macarons also very important to that story. Okay, and on to the pour of this guy. And as I said, one of these containers goes in all on its own to make sure that it's reasonably half. I had some colors left over in all of the containers and sort of decided on the fly that I would use that to sort of build around the macarons and whatever height they ended up being. And so I'm just going to do a little thing there and put them into the mold. Just stacked right next to each other. And then put a dollop of the thickened soap batter, the white batter, on top of all of them. And then, cover them with the other side and continue on with my awesome pour. Really, that's the thinking. I've never actually done a macaron like this, and I'm dying to see. Like at this point, I know exactly what it's going to look like me here right now doing the voiceover. But at this moment when I was making it, I was dying to see if this would work. Like this was just complete experimentation. I want to see if laying a macaron down like that and then cutting it, top down into standard 1-inch chunks of soap, if every bar would still be like, oh yeah, that's a macaron. It's totally a macaron. It's got the feet, it's got the filling, it's a macaron. My thinking was that would totally be the case, but I still didn't know. So experimentation is fun. And I like the really bright colors that we did for this one. And by bright, I guess I mean like clean colors, because we've done some bright bars within the Magicians up to this point, but I don't know, this is a different level. It's less broody, I guess. And I like that. I'm here for less broody, especially since Josh is like the comedic relief guy. He's a little bit more fun than everyone else. Now, this batter is still so fluid and so beautiful. So if you're into fig and rosemary and jam and like batter that you can play with for days, especially considering clay soaps. I know I'm not talking about this a whole lot in year 2, but I make clay soaps. I put copious amounts of clay into each and every batch. Every single one of them. So that naturally thickens up your soap batter faster. The scent, I would say it's one of those that extends trace, and it is delightful just across the board. So yeah, you should Cierra candles. They've been great so far, like everything that we've done, right? We only have a couple tests left, and we haven't had any problems with really any of them. Like that rose jam did some separation for Katie, but whatever. Anytime there's any sort of lush dupe involved, I expect problems, because that's just been my experience, really. Now, the rest of the white that I was unable to get into the mold totally goes on top, but still not done. Still not done. This has to be topped. Like, this bar was not already ridiculous enough with a macaron inside and all of the things. I have to top them with goldfish. Now, for people who actually have seen the Magicians, you know exactly why this all gets topped with, each of these bars get topped with goldfish. And for those of you who don't, you should go watch the Magicians. The Soap Prentice actually, in preparation for this, so she would know what the hell I was talking about through any of these, she actually finally did get to, because she'd already seen this bar, like, made, and she, like, finally did get to the episode, and she goes, oh, the fish makes complete sense now. Like, it totally does. It's great. It's delightful. And that, I don't know. It made me happy. And I guess as the soap maker, that's all that really matters, is I'm happy. Because, cool. But, yes, has to have goldfish on top of the Josh bar. Because, important. Not like in the whole, like, plot of the show or whatever, but important for character development with some peoples who I love. But yes, this will get put into the oven for C-pop and gel, and let's go cut this gorgeous thing. And onto the cut of this. Now, I actually came in on my day off, thus the cardigan sleeves with a coat on over the top, because it was raining and it was stupid. And the Soap and Clay family and I were out to do something fun, but I had to stop and like cut this bar because I could not wait. Like it is saponified. I'm not waiting another day. That is not happening. We have to stop by the soap shop. And look at that. That's a freaking macaron. And the cute little goldfish on top. That is so beautiful. It worked. It totally worked. That is exciting. You know how the Soap Apprentice gets all like giddy with her hand movements? You can totally tell whether or not she likes or she's very expressive with her hands. I'm really not, but I was dying. Like the audio of this was like yelling at everybody in the soap shop because we were actually open at that point. I was like, hey, everybody, come here. Come look at this soap. Come check this soap out. And I'm just, everybody, come look at the soap. It was such a cool little thing. And I'm just like passing off bars to people. Like, check that out. Look at this soap. That one, it's a side. The other side's fine. It's good. It's awesome. And that one's weird. But that one's not. That one's not. Look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. I love these soaps. I had so much fun making them, and I just love it when like an idea comes to mind, like you have the lamination and everything. Like I was literally just handing the bars to like people at this point. Like, here you go. And people are pulling them and taking them back. And it was so much fun. This was such a cool one. And to have the fish on top of all of them, because goldfish is great. And the Cierra candle scent, I mean, we talked about it in the Hoggle bar, but it is extraordinary. It really does stick through saponification fantastically well. Such a perfect scent for this bar, such a perfect scent for many, many bars, I'm sure. But this is my bar. That is a day 37, the Josh bar.
And there it is, Josh's bar, and I think it's adorable. I cannot believe those macarons. They totally look like macarons in the middle, right? Like you have the cookie, and then I made some soap thicker and made the fill. That was adorable. And the, little goldfish on top, I think really made it all completely perfect. I really love this bar. It was a lot of fun. It's probably, I don't know, the brightest and most fun out of all of the bars that we've done for the series so far. With except maybe the Jane bar. That one was pretty bright and fun too. They were all fun, but this one just made me smile as I was doing this, and it was fun. For sure. If you're interested in getting any of the Magician soaps, you totally can find them on the website in a few days, maybe a week, as soon as we're done with all of the Magician's videos. Yes. And you can find them at soapandclay.com. In the meantime, go check out the website for other stuff. That's awesome. If you're interested in seeing what else we do for the Magicians and just themes in general, or you've been liking the recipes and the, tutorials and the tests and, all of the crazy stuff that we do every day with daily content, as the name suggests, subscribe. That would be awesome. For those of you who are subscribed, hey, thank you. I appreciate you so much. I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. I will see you guys all again tomorrow. Bye.